But chance it not dead, but sleep. Slowly but surely it shall return, not with gusto, but in a creep. For at the end of the tunnel is a lucerne.
Hello everyone, it's Matt here, and welcome to an update for the Brickliner. It's been quite a long time since I've done an actual update, and that's because there's been no real progress. I am actually doing something with the observation car. I've actually taken the end completely off so I can actually fit the special tile in, but I'm actually reworking the end of the model, so it's a bit better, and especially the underframe as well. And the reason for that is that it's actually going on display at Brick Live at the NEC from tomorrow. So if you're going to Brick Live, go to the block stand, and the observation car and a few others will be there, obviously with a correct underframe, because it doesn't actually have one at the moment either, so that's going to get fixed as well. So as far as updates go, there's not a lot. I've done a few part swaps on the cars up there, especially the kitchen car. That's now got a lot more blue on it. It's not so multicoloured. This is actually the good side. I think the other side still has a few other bits and pieces that need to be swapped. But on the whole, things pretty much haven't moved on since the last update, however many months ago that was. Now that's partly through a few things. That's partly on trying to focus on the brick model railroad freight cars, getting a good portion of those out of the way, or at least as best I can. Obviously, for some exceptions, such as the bogies, as far as I'm concerned, the bogies aren't as high priority as the main bodies, because the bogies I can just churn out as and when needed, because without wheel sets, there's not much point doing the bogies, or that sort of thing. So the Brickliner's kind of gone to one side, and it's kind of been put on a slow simmer, because I haven't got the loco sorted. What I was going to use for loco, I haven't got. It didn't work out because I wanted like a T1 sort of style design. That didn't work out. There was a few other things as well for loco, which I'm just kind of leaving to one side for now while I sort other things out. So the update for sort of like October / Halloween this year is going to be more of the thinking sort of talking head one. So there's a couple of things that I've thought with the Brickliner that have been causing issues. Partly to do with the scaling and partly to do with a few other bits and pieces. So in effect, I'm going to be redesigning the kitchen car, the baggage / combine car, and I'm going to be doing a few other bits and pieces as well. So the biggest one is that the kitchen car, or griddle car, whatever you'd like to call it, is actually just going to become a kitchen / storage car. So there's going to be no passenger seating in it whatsoever. And the reason for that is that, as good as it is, I can strip out some of the other bits and pieces so that they can just be for storage. Maybe there'll be a crew rest area, so there'll be like a little bit of a staff room or something. And it can be just focused on cooking food, preparing food, and storing food. So instead of having some of it there, some of it, and trying to fit all that into a really small space. So obviously that begs the question, well, what are you going to do about dining? Or are you going to do this and that and the other? Very simply, that's going to get moved to another car. So, and this is the other thing as well, what was a 5-car rate is actually going to now become 6. So the other end of it, which is the combine car, that's actually going to get broken up, and that's actually going to just become a mail and baggage car. So there's going to be a small baggage section at one end. So where it is up there now, it's actually on the back there. That section with the door, the big white door, that's actually going to become like the mail section, and then that little bit at the end with the windows, that's going to become the baggage section for the train. So I'm going to be or roughly that sort of proportion. Might change it around from that. But the reason I'm doing that is that I can then fit some like male pickup gear to it, and maybe a net, and do a few other bits and pieces, so it looks a bit different. And then obviously the thing is that because we're losing that passenger section, and we're losing the passenger section in the what is now going to be the kitchen car, is that there's actually going to be a third passenger coach, which is going to be for standard class. So it's going to be as it was originally. It was sort of like the combine, second open, sort of dining car, then first open, and then first observation, or this one. So now it's going to be baggage mail, open, or standard class dining, then kitchen car, then you're going to have first class dining and regular, and then you have the observation car as well. And the other thing for having the kitchen car as just a kitchen car / storeroom / staff room is that if I show you the the observation car, the entire section for like catering is this section. So there's not a lot of storage there, and obviously if it wanted to be a good portion of stuff, obviously this is what it's restricted to. So obviously that's not a great deal if you're on a very long journey. You might need to do some restocking, and there might not just be enough storage here. So the other thing is that with this just being for like first class passengers, obviously it won't run out as quickly as if it was for everyone, but at the same time there's not really enough room here for everything. So having the kitchen car become a kitchen / store car and that sort of stuff actually means I can expand the storage capacity of it a great deal. I don't have to worry about any sort of passenger throughput. I mean, there wasn't going to be one anyway, but at least if I do that sort of thing, I can completely eliminate that. It's just going to be for crew. So I can thin the windows down a bit. I can make it a bit more sort of secretive, if you like. So you can still take the roof off and do everything else, but obviously in terms of actual function, it's a lot less passenger focused and more on about the staff and staff comfort and that sort of stuff. So it doesn't actually matter as much for a few other bits and pieces. Now the tender, I did a bit of redesign work on the tender. So there's the sort of like cupboard thing in one corner of the tender, right in front of the battery box. I haven't put that in the tender yet. I haven't had time, and I've been focused, like I said, I've been focused on the BMR freight car. So the tender's pretty much done. But one of the things I was considering was actually having a bit of a cowl at the back, which was actually hollow on the inside. And that's been done on a few real life logos. So the Reading Crusader had it on its tender, which if you've seen it, Glenn Holland's bottle actually replicates that as well. The LMS Pacifics as well, the ones for their non-stop Reading service, they actually had a shroud covering the sort of buffer area over the tender, just try and smooth that out. So that was hollow, so you could have the corridor connection move. And a few other bits and pieces like that. The other major design thing I want to talk about as well is the corridor connection. So as you can see here, it's an 8 wide car with a 6 wide corridor connection. It's not the most realistic, and I'm actually going to change it around as well. So it looks very nice, don't get me wrong, as I'm looking at it now, and it looks quite good, but at the same time it's very wide. It's not the most realistic. So I'm actually going to thin this down to 5 studs wide for the corridor connection. So you're going to have the 2 studs for the sides and then a 3 stud wide door. So that's sort of how it was with the 7 wide sort of thing. So I've kind of done a lazy port of that when I converted it to 8 wide. So that's going to get rehearsed, if you like. So I'll just put the end back on. So that's going to be a major change as well, changing it from sort of like the original one to from 6 wide to sort of 5 wide. So that's going to need a redesign of like the underside here. So that needs to have a big change round. There's going to be a few change rounds for other bits and pieces as well. So there's been going to be quite a few changes to the passenger cars, and I've yet still got to design the loco. But as far as I'm concerned now, if I can get what I've currently got up to spec, so everything looks a bit better, works a bit better. On the whole, I'm not too fussed about getting the loco sorted as now, because there's nowhere to run it on. So the coaches are the priority, because at the end of the day, provided I've got a complete set of coaches, I can always take those to a show and just show them off as they are. A tender as well. The tender's not complete. I haven't got the roof of the tender on yet. I'm still missing the second battery for it. So I should be able to get one of those soon. So there's all sorts of little bits and pieces that aren't quite right with the cars, and it's stuff that needs fixing, and it's stuff that I'd like to do but hasn't been a priority. I mean, this is another thing as well. I've just taken off the bogie apart for the observation car, and there's a grey plate there which should be black. It's stuff like that. As I was doing it, that should be black as well, and it's dark bluish grey. It's just because I ran out of parts and I just want to get it done, so I can spend some time sort of fixing those and doing a few other bits and pieces. So the update for the Brickliner, the sort of like TLDR, sort of like shortened version, is there's not been much progress. I have been thinking about it, but just not doing anything about it. So after, because it's the end of October now, I'll be finishing or making some changes to this car, so it's exhibitable for Brick Live. But in terms of actual progress on the models, I'm hesitant to say anything concrete, but hopefully I will have the designs done by the end of the year. I've had to spend a lot of time in LDD this month for the October competition. I'm having to spend more time in it for the Bricklink Studio contest. So I'm designing in LDD because it works, and then porting it over to Studio, doing a few bits and tweaks, and then slapping it into the submission. And there's a few other bits and pieces to deal with as well. And hopefully, as I've said before, hopefully by Christmas I'll be able to do an update and sort of say, here's something fun you weren't expecting. It's done. Hey. But on the whole, there's very little to show, and I have nobody to blame but myself. But again, I've tried to prioritise the BMR freight cars because they are quite parts intensive, and the thing is that I'm up the point now where I've got pretty much everything I want to get done as a short-term goal done. So obviously I'm going to be talking about that a bit differently in the BMR freight car update, but as far as updates go for the Brickliner, I know what direction I want to take the train in now. So that's the other thing as well, is that I was using the real world transfer inspiration, but then sort of almost taking some of that, but they're not taking the whole picture in. So it's just sort of like I'm the sort of strip things back to basics and sort of go, what if I was going to do this in real life, what would the real life thing look like, and that sort of stuff. So so that's it for this sort of like chinwag, if you like. So that's it for the Brickliner update, and it's not dead. Hands up, it's not dead. So to use the phrase from Linton Barsper, it not, what was the thing? It not dead but merely sleepeth. So it is going to get progress. It's just going to be slow progress and everything else. So that's it from this update, and see you in the next one whenever that is. So see you later.